I want to show you how Florida 18th Circuit Judge Michael Rudisill reached a nonsensical conclusion, contradicting his own facts with bias. The dispute was whether Mandi Mae Jackson, or her lawyers, decided for her not to testify. Rudisill concluded that Mandi herself refused to testify, against her lawyers' wishes. Mandi Jackson's lawyers as much as told Judge Rudisill that their client wanted to testify a fake murder story, including about another lawyer's client whom they took a $100,000 favor from, but that her lawyers themselves didn't like Mandi's story and didn't want her to testify it. Rudisill concluded against logic and honesty that lawyers who accepted a bribe and testified against their own client to keep her in prison were more credible than their client. According to Rudisill, Mandi's attorneys testified both. 1. Mandi never said she was held in duress, or gave her lawyers any recount of the events. And 2. Her lawyers believed it would have been tough for Mandi to testify that she was under duress. Rudisill said Mandi testified on the other side that 3. She told her lawyers her version of events, and 4. She wanted to testify. Rudisill cited these facts to reach a nonsensical conclusion. The court finds that Ms. Rentz and Mr. Bark were more credible witnesses than defendant. If 1, Mandi didn't tell her lawyers she was under duress, and 2, her lawyers didn't think it looked like she was under duress, then there would be no place for the duress story to come from. Except if 3 and 4 are true and 1 is a lie. According to Rudisill's facts, the only place the duress story could have come from is Mandi telling her lawyers this, meaning her lawyers lied when they said they had this story they wouldn't use themselves but didn't get it from Mandi. The only way the duress story would have been measured by her lawyers in the context of testifying is if Mandi offered to testify this story. And her lawyers, not Mandi, rejected the idea for not liking Mandi's story. If Mandi's lawyers think the duress story is not true, the only reason Mandi would have invented this story is because Mandi was told to come up with a story that accommodated fake evidence making it look like Scott planned a murder, which is consistent with the strategy her lawyer Bark told me at trial he wanted to use, and did. CSI Smolarek faked that Scott wore bloody gloves, giving the appearance of premeditation. When I pointed out to Bark at Mandi's trial that Smolarek changed her lies about the gloves, Bark said, "Yeah, but it doesn't matter because none of it's Mandi's DNA." This indicates Bark himself wanted to let the fake premeditation story stand, and only separate Mandi from it. Bark's motive is the motive for the duress story. It's only by accepting fake evidence of planning like Bark wanted to, and then telling Mandi to come up with a story to separate herself from it, that the duress story can be invented. The story Mandi told her mom on the jail telephone in 2016 is nothing like the duress story.
He doesn't get charged with it because he didn't do it.
This duress story had to come from Mandi, and its purpose had to be to accuse Scott. Rudisill said her lawyers said Mandi was still loyal to Scott based on events in the jail. Those events happened before Mandi even met her lawyers. Mandi's trial was 3 years later. Mandi had her mind changed when she saw video of Scott accusing her.
Who would Mandi have been with?
I don't know.
Your boyfriend, girlfriend?
Yeah, so if she was with somebody, that's definitely news to me.
Nobody told Rudisill what year Mandi showed loyalty to Scott, relative to when she decided to testify. Rudisill imagined 3 years as a single event, with no reason to. Rudisill misrepresents that Mandi testified she was never told that she could receive a plea deal if she testified. What Mandi's lawyers never told her is that the prosecution would actually accept any deal for what Mandi wanted to testify. To say Mandi refused to testify, Rudisill misrepresented. 5. Mandi's lawyers said they told her she could get a deal for testifying. And 6. Mandi said her lawyers then told her she couldn't testify or get a deal, using her actual story. In reality, Mandi did what her lawyers said by coming up with the duress story. But her lawyers told her the story was not usable. It's not that Rudisill really can't tell the difference between before and after. He just doesn't care about facts. Rudisill's facts can most reasonably be interpreted as A. Mandi was told to come up with a story to explain how she had nothing to do with the murder, which fake evidence showed Love did. B. Mandi then came up with the story that she was under duress using the credit cards, the only crime she did. And then C. Mandi's lawyers didn't like that story, and so told her she couldn't testify and there was no deal available. Things Mandi's lawyers said to contradict this, which Rudisill found credible, make no sense. Rudisill's own facts cannot be explained by any conceivable set of events fitting his conclusion. Rudisill didn't offer any analysis using the specific facts Rudisill listed to find these lying lawyers credible, and there is none. Rudisill basically blew off the facts to find a conclusion like, I don't believe Mandi's lawyers didn't try to get her to testify and get a deal, so they wouldn't have to go to trial. So Mandi must be lying when she says otherwise. That's not the issue. The issue is everyone told Mandi to come up with a story to get a deal. Mandi did so, fitting the fake evidence. And then her lawyers told her she couldn't testify that story. Then Rudisill used the fact that Mandi's lawyers didn't prepare her for the judge's questions beyond politely saying, "Yes, ma'am," to argue the judge's sentences can be used to reconstruct these events. Mandi's own lawyers said she was too drugged up to say anything. That's why she wasn't qualified to testify. They used an ambush to make Mandi recite, "Yes, no," to set up a person who was told she was too incompetent to testify and get away with a scam trial. Mandi's emotion while reciting, "Yes, ma'am," revealed she wanted to accuse Scott. Rudisill also said attorney Carrie Rentz testified that Ms. Rentz would have advised defendant to testify. This is another example that contradicts what I witnessed. Mandi's lawyers had a little argument at her trial, where the closing argument was supposed to be delivered by Carrie Rentz. But Rentz said she disliked the argument so much she couldn't bear to say it. So Bark had to deliver it. Rentz being too ashamed to tell the duress story herself is consistent with Rentz not thinking Mandi should say it either. Rudisill weighed a more basic set of imagined facts, not built from the actual testimony. Rudisill asked, "Is it credible Mandi's lawyers didn't want her to testify to get a deal? Is it credible Mandi was loyal to her boyfriend and didn't want to testify?" Rudisill then ignored details in the actual testimony right in front of him, explaining what actually happened, and revealing the specific set of historical events he was being told about. Mandi invented a duress story to testify, and her lawyers didn't like it. Rudisill's own facts can only be explained by a set of events that fits with what Mandi testified and contradicts her lawyers. People told Mandi she would benefit from testifying that Love committed a murder she had nothing to do with, somehow explaining why she then used the credit cards. So Mandi came up with a fake story saying Love committed a murder she wanted nothing to do with. And she then didn't want to use the credit cards, but did so because she was under duress. Her lawyers then told her she couldn't testify or get a deal, because they didn't like that story. Rudisill doesn't care that his facts are nonsensical, because he likes preconceptions better than actual details. Rudisill just imagines lawyers want to do deals and criminals refuse the good. This makes Rudisill unqualified for his job.